and a pleasure to be with you. All right, so I'll just sing for a few minutes just to get the atmosphere warming, although singing is a little difficult in terms of response, but at least I'll sing along.
Yes.
Okay.
Apa lah kalian kalimat kalimat
Hare Krishna. So just a little bit of Harinam Sankirtan, because the holy name is immediately bringing us to the spiritual platform. Immediately, when the holy name descends, then Krishna is present, the spiritual world is present, and everything becomes transformed. So that is why we begin with the chanting of Hare Krishna. I can say something from Bhagavad Gita. If you give me just a moment, I will open up the Gita and Okay. So reading from the 7th chapter, text number 12. Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajasis tamasis chaye mate vititan vidi natvaham tisute maye. Translation. Know that all states of being, be they of passion, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I'm in one sense everything, but I'm independent. I'm not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. So here we are in the material world. And the three modes of material nature create endless varieties of circumstances. And all these circumstances we have to face somehow or other. Sometimes the mode of goodness predominates and the atmosphere is peaceful and supportive for spiritual life. Other times the mode of ignorance predominates and the atmosphere is disturbed and agitated and it is just very unfavorable for spiritual life. Other time there is the situation predominated by the mode of passion and tempted to enjoy the temporary material energy. For a moment we forget Krishna seems now so far away, and suddenly the asat Krishna, suddenly the thirsting for the temporary comes to the foreground. In this way we are affected by the three modes of material nature. The chanting of Hare Krishna is what lifts us to the transcendental platform, lifts us above and makes us actually see that what really matters is Krishna. And we see all the living beings in this world. And they're running here and there, driving here and there, flying here and there, moving here and there. Oh. But mostly it's just disconnected from Krishna. Running here for satisfying personal desires. But those who are somehow or other busy in this world, connected with Krishna, to satisfy Krishna's desires, they are the fortunate, enlightened souls. Mahatmanas tumamparta. The Mahatmas souls, they take shelter of divine nature. Krishna. For a fruit. I said if Krishna would say, for me almost, then we would offer again. But Krishna, so we're offering a flower, a fruit, a leaf, some water. As he desires, the devotee becomes fully dedicated to Krishna's desires and adjusts his life to Krishna's desires. And in this way, so many blessings come upon a devotee. Immediately, as one adjusts one's life according to the desires and the directions of Krishna, as we find in scriptures and through the mouth of the representatives of the Supreme Lord, the spiritual masters and the saintly persons. In this way, we are connected with Krishna. And then we connect everything. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagya Uchate. And suddenly, material things that are now used for Krishna become spiritual and actually become a blessing. the same things that would bind us in the material energy now are the things that liberate us. The same house that was once a jail that kept us in the material world, now that same house is Vaikuntha. And now that same house offers us the opportunity to make spiritual advancement. This is the beautiful arrangement of the Sankirtan movement. Everything changes, everything becomes in this way transcendental. The purpose, life has changed. Everything is transcendental. And so everything we do is auspicious. Although in some way, when we look out of the window, we see the houses of the neighbors, and they look very similar to the house that we stay. We see a similar house, some cars in front of the door. And what is the difference between their life, our life? The difference is that they are working for themselves, and we are working somehow or other. More and more, we're dedicating our life to Krishna. Yat karosi yat tasnasi yat juhusi dadasi yat tapasyasi kunteya tat kurushvamadarpanam. Whatever you do, offer that to me. Whatever you eat, offer to me. Whatever austerity you perform, offer it to me. Any work that you perform, offer it to me. So sometimes we cannot offer the work directly, but we can offer the results of the work. And then the results of the work, the fruits of the labor. And we offer them to Krishna. And in this way, we can successfully connect every aspect of our life with Krishna. So this is very nice. It says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sthanam Stita Shruti Katantanvanamanivir, that there is no need to change one's location. There is no need to go to the forest. There is no need to turn away from the world. No, Sthanam Stitam, just remain in one's place. Sthanam Stitam. By remaining in one's place, we can attain all perfection. Because we can practice there. We can just practice in our life. Of course, sinful activities must be stopped and must be avoided very strictly. But when things are in that way, not inimical to Krishna, then we can just carry on in our regular life. And in this way, Krishna consciousness is brilliant because it is yukta vairagya. It is the process where we are connecting everything with Krishna instead of turning away from the world, which is traditionally so much emphasized in Vedic culture. We see in Vedic culture that the brahmachari was practicing austerity and would live in the ashram of the guru. Brahmachari guru kule vasadanta guru ritam. The brahmachari would stay in the gurukul, in the ashram of the spiritual master, which was generally in some forest type of setting, and then be trained. The grihastha would live in the world, but then the renunciants, the vanaprasthas, they would be aranyaka, they would be forest dwellers. The sannyasis would just roam around the world, and whoever came on their path, they would enlighten with transcendental knowledge. Now we're living in a more complex society. Now we're living in the modern world. But here the same principles apply. Simply take anything material, use it for Krishna, and it becomes transcendental. And that is very wonderful. In this way, our good fortune knows no bounds. If we live our lives in this way, and we just chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra at home, and we worship the deity, and we are reciting scriptures and singing the bhajans of the Lord, then surely our life will become successful. Because it is said, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena Chitasananyagamina Paramam Purusham Divyam Yatapachasintya. One has to practice. And by practice, one can come to the states of remembrance. Then Antakala Chamameva Smaran Mukta Kaleyugaram. Then at the end of life, one can remember the Supreme, which is the essence. Antanarayana Smriti. Somehow or other, if we can remember the Supreme Lord at the end of our life, then yes, then we can attain the Lord. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam. Whatever consciousness we have at the end of our life, that will determine our next destination. What's most is very cool and very makes spiritual life very accessible. It is, at the same time, there is no compromise. It's everyone, wherever we are, every one of us is meditating on pure devotional service. Everyone, whatever body we find ourselves in, whatever age we have, whatever work we are doing, whatever skills we have, whatever natures we have, whether we are fiery or whether we are very cool, whether we are deep and slow and thoughtful, whatever our natures may be, somehow or other, all of us are striving for the same. Pure devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada brought us the topmost at home, taught us very patiently about pure devotional service. And this is an amazing opportunity. Of course, it requires faith. One has to have faith in the pure devotee, faith in Prabhupada, and faith in the gift that he gave. Faith in the words of the Gita, faith in the words of Srimad Bhagavatam, that Shraddha Sapta Visvaskaya Sudrida Nischaya Krishna Bhakti Koila Sarvakarma Kritahaya, that if we simply dedicate our lives with great faith in following these transcendental scriptures, dedicated to Krishna, then certainly all good will be attained. Sarvakarma Kritahaya. All good will be attained from devotional service. So these are the kind of things that I'm thinking about that are very nice and very kind of deeply inspiring. Srimad Bhagavatam gives us the lives of the Mahajans. And it says, Mahajana Yenigata Sapanta. Whatever the goal the Mahajans are trying to attain, we should also follow in their footsteps and go by the same path. So the Mahajans are, Prahlad Maharaj, who was, not only was Prahlad Maharaj fearless, but Prahlad Maharaj, he had full trust in Krishna, and Prahlad Maharaj accepted that whatever Krishna is doing, whatever is happening, is Krishna's wish, and therefore it's good. Therefore Prahlad could accept. He had this great level of acceptance of destiny. So And whatever happened, it is good. Others go, no, no, this doesn't look good. That looks good. No, Prahlad, no. Everything was good because he saw everything is simply happening by the arrangement of my Lord. And therefore it is good. So Prahlad was near a picture. He was not affected by the externals, and he was abhayam. He was fearless, completely fearless. Nothing could intimidate him or scare him. Prahlad was just simply fearless and dedicated to Krishna. So yes, when we think about these things, the Mahajans, when you think about Prahlad as a Mahajan, that is quite amazing, quite an amazing personality. To have that deep faith and to really leave it up to Krishna, just whatever happens, it is good, it is Krishna's plan. Yes, we'll embrace it, accept it. Yes. In this way, Prahlad Maharaj is our spiritual master. He is the Mahajan, the great soul, and we are following in his footsteps. Dhruva Maharaj, when he was a child, he somehow or other turned to God. His objective wasn't clear, but by the help of Narada Muni, he became sufficiently purified and his focus became more clear. Narada Muni told him to chant the mantra. He met Narada when he was in the forest. And Narada told him to chant the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narada told him to make a deity of the Lord out of clay and to worship that. And Narada told him to practice Astanga Yoga. So Dhruva did all these things, and Dhruva became a great self-realized devotee. And Dhruva realized that all the desires that he had before were actually petty and insignificant. He said, I desired broken pieces of glass, but you gave me jewels. So in this way, from Dhruva Maharaj, we're learning we should never think that we are going to miss out. Now that I've become a devotee, now I've given up so many things. Oh, but am I not missing out? No. No, we never miss out. Because those are just broken pieces of glass, and if we dedicate our life to Krishna, he'll give us jewels. So in this way, we remain very firm in our Krishna consciousness. Very firm. And we're looking at all the examples of all the great personalities. Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Sukadev Goswami, who was so aloof from this world and so totally focused on Krishna. Oh yes, let us also look a bit more at Krishna and not worry so much about this world. Oh, Sukadev Mahajan, yes, he is teaching us so many things. Oh yes. Maharaj Pariksit, the emperor of the world, cursed by a Brahmin boy to die within 7 days, was not upset. He just decided to use these 7 days to, with full focus, fix himself on the Supreme Lord. So he was not wasting any time with eating or drinking or not. He was just drinking in transcendental sound through his ears. And so Maharaj Pariksit became completely absorbed and completely fixed, and at the end of his life went back to Godhead. So this is also very, very important for us to somehow or other focus ourselves. Life is short. We don't know how much time we have. Therefore, we always use the time to cultivate remembrance of Krishna and somehow to glorify Krishna, to worship Krishna, to render service to Krishna, to have no other interest than the interest of Krishna. In this way, we're always absorbed in devotional service. This is the example of the Mahajans, such as Sukadev Goswami. Yes, the more we think about all the great personalities, the more we get inspired. The 6 Goswamis, yes. They were so dedicated. Oh yes, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. Somehow or other, this year also, we met in India, in Jaipur, if I remember well. And that was very nice. There in that temple of Radha Govindaji, and remembering how wonderful the deities are being worshipped, worshipped by the devotees there. And these are the deities of Rupa Goswami. These are the deities of our Sampradaya. We see the picture of Gaunitai on the side, on the wall in the Govindaji temple. Oh yes. And we remember how Rupa and Sanatana were worshipping these deities, Madan Mohan, Radha Govinda, and Radha Gopinath. And we remember the 3 mantras that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is giving us from the diary of Swarup Damodar Goswami, the personal private secretary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where it says, Jayatam Suyato Pangor Mama Manamatir Gati Matsarva Sapadam Gojo Radha Madana Mohano. And it's describing Madan Mohan and how we become attracted to Krishna. Madan Mohan, the attractor of Cupid. Madan Mohan, who attracts us, and then by this attraction makes the connection, sambandha, and makes the connection with Krishna. And then Divyat Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Srimad Ratnagari Simasta Sto Srimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prestari Visi Yamanu Smarami, talking about Radha Govinda seated on a golden throne and worshipped by their devotees in Vrindavan under a desire tree. That Radha Govinda is Govinda, the giver of pleasure to the cows and to the senses. That Govinda is we are worshipping Krishna in his transcendental activities, and we are deeper and deeper penetrating into the miracle of Krishna's teachings, Krishna Upadesh, and in descriptions about Krishna and how Krishna lives. And as we lives and acts, and if we hear more about this, our heart fills with wonder, and we find ourselves entering into the ocean of bhakti. And as we're entering into the ocean bhakti, we experience the waves, and we go deep into that ocean of bhakti, and there we discover so many treasures. And in this way, yes, Radha Govinda. And then finally, we come to the eternal, the level of the eternal spiritual world. Shiman Rasa Rasaram Vivam Sivatas Tatas Titaha Karsan Venu Swanir Gopir Gopinata Sriyestunaha. That that Krishna was at Vamsivat in Vrindavan, and he blew his flute. And as the gopis heard that sound of the flute, it completely captured them. When they heard the voice, the sound of Krishna's flute, when they heard Krishna, they could not think of anything else. Krishna was everything for them. Vasudev Savam Iti. Krishna was everything for them. And as Krishna was everything, else mattered. And so the gopis became Anyabhilasita Sunyam, free from any other type of desire. And in this way, and we look at Gopinath. Then, yes, then we can be the servant of Gopinath. of the Supreme Lord. So in this way, in the writings of the Acharyas, we are taken into service to the Lord, to greater and greater depths of commitment. It is that greater depth that can lift us above the temporary ups and downs of material life. In material life, Bhagavad Gita says, Dukkhalyam asasvatam janma mrityuya jar vyadi. There is birth, death, old age, and disease in this material world. And what can we do? But these are all part of the temporary domain. And when we are deeply absorbed in the eternal, what more could we desire? So in this way, we are meditating on the Bhagavad Gita. We're meditating on Krishna, and with great pleasure. And yes, as Krishna said, know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I'm in one sense everything, but I'm independent. I'm not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. And so the devotee also becomes transcendental to the modes of material nature, because as Krishna is independent from that material nature, the devotee is also independent from that material nature, because the devotee is with Krishna and always situated at his lotus feet. So in this way, it's very nice that we can live our transcendental spiritual life. So I thank you very much for listening to this talk. I'd like to invite you to come with some questions, and then we'll try and answer them. That would be nice. Get a little more involved on a personal level.
Thank you so much. So relevant hearing those instructions from Bhagavad Gita. Are you able to hear us, Maharaj?
You're a little soft. If someone speaks a little closer to the microphone, it will be easy.
Now, how is that, Maharaj? Now, is it better?
Now it's better. Yeah, now it's better, my Pujanda. Now I can hear.
So, we were all very much disturbed, because I would tell you how Daddy left us. The Tuesday night was the Hanuman Jayanti in USA. So we were, I mean, the whole day was very kind of busy as always, but at in the end of a day, we were reading Sundarkand, and around 10 o'clock we read about 80%, and then we went to take rest. So then my daddy said that he has some chest pain and wasn't getting better. So after about half an hour, we decided to go to the hospital. He said, okay, let's go to the hospital. Usually he would be the last one to go to see a doctor. He would always,
Yes.
avoid it. But this time he said, no, my pain is not getting better. Let's go. So we took him to the hospital. They did all the tests, the cardiogram and the blood test and the x-ray. It all came out normal, perfectly normal. So, I mean, the whole family, we had the coronavirus, but somehow it did not touch him. He was,
Right.
he was fine. And he did not have any fever or nothing. He had a little cold, but that was only for 2 days. But he was otherwise fine. So we brought him home at 1 o'clock. And as soon as we brought him home, he collapsed. He gave me blessings. He gave the blessings to Manish, my other brother. He put his head on our head and he thanked us. And then he laid down, but at that time he completely collapsed. So, I mean, he stopped breathing. He wasn't responding. So I did the CPR. I called all my brothers and he came back to the life. So we thought, let's go to the hospital again, because he was all right just 10 minutes back. So we called the ambulance, we took him to the hospital, and this time we found that his blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen, everything was dropping. So we thought what it is, maybe the medicine that we gave, he reacted so much for the pain, or we gave some medicine like nitrite and all those things, the some medicines for the heart. So we were thinking like that, but then it turned out to be the heart attack. The blood test came back and it showed that the cardiac enzymes were going high. Maharaj, you are able to listen me, right? You are able to listen. Are you able to hear?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. So the because it like within an hour it became very clear that daddy has a heart attack. Then we then because his heart was stopping in between. So then we started doing cardiac massage and I was chanting with him. And I mean he was speaking up until then very clearly. But then because the heart rate was going down, so the doctor said now we will have to intubate, otherwise there is no way. And we gave the permission for the intubation also. So then he stopped speaking, but he was still reacting and responding. So the cardiologist came meanwhile and he said that if we do the cardiac cath, there is a chance. His condition is guarded, very guarded, but cardiac cath could find out the cause that why everything is going down, and there is a chance that we could reverse it. And so we said yes, let's do that. Now, I mean, so up until 5:40, I was chanting with him and I was with him. But at 5:40, they took him to the cardiac cath lab and they did not allow us. They told us that you guys have corona probably and we don't want to infect the lab. We have to take your father because there is no choice, but we don't take anybody with the corona in the cath lab. So that's why we stayed outside and daddy went inside. And we thought he will come out in half an hour. So after 45 minutes, he got a little better, but then he again got worse. And in that, like around 7:30, he actually left. Like close to hour and a 45 minute, he was by himself. So we felt so sorry that we could have not been so aggressive, or we could have, I mean, not because we did all those things. That's why we were not with him, and
Yeah,
that I mean, uh, hurt
yeah,
us. I mean, we feel so frustrated that
yeah, yeah.
I mean, nobody could chat with him while he was.
But you just don't know these things, right? How can you know? You know, how can you know what will happen? So you did it with the best intentions.
Yes.
Absolutely. You were only trying to act in his interest as much as you could see. And now in hindsight, you can say this, you can say that. But hindsight is different than when you are in the situation. No, you did the best you could. Absolutely. And as doctors, you know very well what medical treatments can be given to save someone's life.
So my living body by itself, I mean that was kind of hard. But uh, uh, I mean we were thinking that he must have chanted in that helpless condition. And then Krishna must
Yeah,
have.
yeah. Even if he could chant or could not chant, um, it's not the it's not the only criterion. It is also yam 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 vapi smaram bhavam. It is said the bhavam. It is not what one remembers, but it is the state of consciousness that a person has. So he was deeply Krishna conscious. The last time I met him, he was making us all do a very long morning program, right? And he was chanting so many bhajans. He was absorbed. He really was. I could see that he's not just doing this now that I am here. No, no, I could see he is absorbed in these bhajans, deeply absorbed in these bhajans. So I think that his consciousness was strong. He was worshiping the deity. He was and he'd done so for many, many years. So even if someone leaves and at the time of death is not exactly, is incapacitated and therefore not able to chant properly, or that's okay. I have experienced myself that I was shot, and when I was shot, I was not able to chant the full Maha Mantra. My head was spinning. I could hardly think clear. It was difficult to focus my mind. I had no energy, I had no stamina. I could whisper. And somehow or other, I could manage to say Krishna, Krishna. But I could not do the whole Maha Mantra. It was too long. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Very long, I could not do it. So, from my own experience also, I realized that at the time when we are close to death, then it can be difficult sometimes, just chant. But it doesn't matter. His consciousness was there with Krishna. So I'm quite sure that he got all the benefits. And yes, of course, it would have been wonderful if you could have all been there and chanted while he was departing. But that's not in our control. That is something Krishna gives us. That's a gift from Krishna, if you get that. In my case, when my mother died, I was able to chant, actually, at the time of her departure. But my father, he died alone. And I could not do anything for him in that regard. It's destiny. What can be done? This was destiny. Yeah. But he had so many blessings, excuse me.
Maharaj, I would like to share something.
Yes.
That after 3 days, about 75 hours later, when we were preparing his divine body for the funeral final rites, what to our astonishment, we found his right hand like this in the chanting mudra. Even though the beads were not there, the next finger was out like this. These 3 fingers were like this, and the left hand was, and the left one was completely straight. So give us the glimpse or understanding that, because anyone that who saw him in last 10 years or more, his hands were always in the bead bag. Doesn't matter what was going on around, 99% it will be in the bead bag, or he is leading a kirtan. These are the kirtan or something reading. Those are the only 2 things he did, 2 or 3 things he did, so to speak.
Yes.
So
he took shelter.
Sorry?
Yeah, it sounds like that he took shelter of that. Huh?
Yeah, so I think with this kind of a posture or the position of the fingers, we could see, I mean, we could only obviously speculate or have understanding that he must have been chanting or taking the shelter of the holy name.
Right. It looks like that. I agree. Yes, it appears like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is very good. I have no doubt, honestly speaking. Like, I mean, as I say, I saw him not so long ago, right? And
yes.
I saw his absorption, I saw how much he is Krishna conscious and how, so I don't think that just was lost, right? No, that's not lost, right? Name bhakti panasyati, my devotee will never perish, even if at the time of death, as doctors, that not everyone is conscious when they leave this world. That not everyone can speak, right? You know very well that many people may be incapacitated at the time of death. But when a devotee becomes like that, then surely that devotee still gets the benefit from all those Krishna consciousness. So I have no doubt that the result of all this Krishna consciousness is that he remembered Krishna at the time of death, right?
Yeah.
And whether that was on the conscious platform or on a more subtle platform that we cannot say. Like, for example, when I was shot, that was really a very, well, I was naturally on the edge of death and in critical condition in the ICU for about 11 days. Right? And I remember that there was, when I came out of the ICU, I heard, at one point I became conscious and I heard a soft Maha Mantra playing. I heard Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, the famous Hare Krishna done, right? And it was playing. And as I heard it, I realized that I had been hearing it actually for much longer.
Oh.
Although I was unconscious, I still had heard it, but I was unconscious. But somehow or other I had heard it. And then when I consciously heard it, I realized, oh yes, actually I heard this for a long time. Actually, it was there all this time. So I'm quite sure that even if a person is at the time of death and is a little externally incapacitated, and that on a higher level, on a more subtle level, the remembrance is still there. So even when people die in their sleep, when people die unconscious, I think they can still remember Krishna on another level.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
And of course,
Sorry, Hare Krishna Maharaj, Pranam.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
This is Vishwarup from Ahmedabad.
Yes.
I was hearing your lecture, just a small question from that particular subject matter. Can I ask?
Mm-hmm. If you can come a little closer to the microphone, because it is a little distorted. I couldn't catch it.
Yeah, so I believe now you can hear.
Yes, now I can hear.
So I wanted to ask, when you mention about the Radha Govinda Dev, Radha Madan Mohan Dev, and Radha Gopinath Dev, so as we read from the Shastras that Madan Mohan is the Sambandha Dev and Govinda Dev is a Prayojana.
Abhideya and
Gopinath is a Prayojana. So I wanted to know some more on how this deities of the Lordship, Govinda Dev, what are the means that they reciprocate with the devotees in the Abhidhe form?
Yes.
Because they are taking care of the Abhidhe.
Yes.
So what are the means there, how the devotees can understand their interactions with their lives?
Yes. In the Sambandha stage, right, spiritual life is very much about us, ourselves, choosing for Krishna. And we hear about Krishna, we see the deity of Krishna, and we get attracted to Krishna. And we start to, and based on that attraction, brings us to the point where we feel, yes, I want to get more serious about this bhakti, about this devotional service. That is sambandha. But when we come to abhideya, then we become very actually busy in service to Krishna. And we begin to dedicate ourselves to living a life according to Krishna's desire and following a bhakti sadhana. We are chanting, we are studying Shastra, worshipping deity, and so on. And as a result, it is not only us who are doing, but Krishna is also doing. He will also give us mercy, and he will also manifest his presence to us. And we feel much closer to Krishna. So as we come in the stage of Abhideya, we come closer to Krishna. And as a result, we start to get more taste. We start to actually relish things. Like now, before maybe someone was totally absorbed in cricket and that was everything. And now, it's not the same anymore. Now that same person is listening with so much taste to lectures on the Bhagavatam. Now taste begins to develop. So in this way, excuse me, in this way, in Abhideya, the heart becomes involved. And it is Krishna who's involved with that. The love comes out. Yesterday, I was somehow or other talking about anarthas, stumbling blocks in the heart, and I was reading something, and I was reading an explanation from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur about the word aparat, offense, right? So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur broke the word down, and he said, Radha means love, priti. Yes, it is the same word, like in Radharani, Radhika, worship, love. So Radha means love, aparad. And then it says, aparad, that which drives love away. So aparad, offense, is where we act in a way contrary to Krishna's desire, disrespectful to him, to his devotees, to scriptures, and we drive love away. Then sambandha comes and we connect ourselves with Krishna. So love returns. And then in Abhideya, that love begins to mature and we begin to develop love for hearing about Bhagavatam, love for kirtan, love for serving Krishna. And it grows day by day. In this way, Abhideya is the stage where love for Krishna begins to awaken. It is said that Sambandha is the Kanistha Adhikari stage. Weak faith and beginning to connect. Prakrita Bhakta, a devotee who still has many material attachments. Abhideya is the Madhyam Adhikari stage. In 11th canto of Bhagavatam, it says, Ishvarata Dadinesu Bharisesu Disat Shicha Kripa Maiti.
Prema Maiti. Prema Maiti.
Yeah, Prema Maita Kripa Peksha Yakaroti Samadhyama. Yes, I have hay fever. So today my nose is misbehaving. Okay, Prema Maiti. So there is Prem for Ishvara Tadadini. So for Ishvara there is Prem. So in the Madhyam Adhikari stage, Prem begins to develop for Ishvara, for Krishna. This is very nice. This is very nice. So that is why Abhideya, that priti, that prem for the Lord, comes back. Previously in our material life, so many aparat, and that's why that prem, that love, had been driven away. Aparat. But then by sambandha, we reconnect, and the prem returns and begins to blossom in Abhideya. That is very nice. So Govindaji, yes, Govindaji is the meditation on Krishna as the gift of pleasure to the senses and pleasure to the cows.
Yes. When in continuation, this the love, when it gets more progress, it is more developed, more cultivated, and more sincere, it becomes. That takes the shelter of Prayojan.
No, sorry, this last part was again distorted.
When this love is blossom, it takes shelter of Prayojan.
When this love is the center of
the love is blossom. The love is more sincere. Then is it that the candidate, the devotee, takes shelter of the Prayojan Dev, Gopinath Dev?
Eventually, yes, it becomes then more the meditation, I mean, obviously, we look at all three deities, right? Now, you know, this year I took a parikrama and I met some of your family in Jaipur. And we went to Karoli, to Madan Mohan, we went to Govindaji, we went to Gopinath Dev, and we had darshan of all the three deities. And we meditated on all the three deities. But it is especially when our love goes deeper, that we are able to approach the gopis. Now we can talk about the gopis, but the gopis have such great love, such deep love for Krishna. How can we compare to that? I have a story for you about myself. One day I was flying from Germany to Spain, and it was a beautiful summer day, very nice sunny weather, and it was going to be a nice flight. There were no clouds, and it was going over the Alps and then over the Pyrenees, right? So 2 times mountains. So when I was boarding the plane, they asked me, so aisle seat or window seat? And this time I said, yes, window seat. Why not? Let's have a nice view of the mountains. So I was sitting at the window seat and I saw the mountains, and they were very beautiful indeed. But then after a while, I got bored. And then I took out the Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion. I opened it up and it said, and I started reading, and it said, the gopis were not interested in seeing anything but Krishna. And then I was thinking, uh-oh, here I am with my window seat, right? Looking at the beautiful view. And so I was a little humbled, and thinking, well, I guess my love for Krishna is not as deep as the love that the gopis have for Krishna. So in this way, we can approach the gopis right now also, and we can hear about Krishna Lila with the gopis in Vrindavan, and we can appreciate it. But when we approach that same Lila with love, with actual love that is awakened in our heart, then we can approach it in a more intimate way. And ultimately, we can become a follower of these eternal devotees. And we come to, these devotees are Ragatmika devotees, devotees that are the personification of deep attachment, deep rag. And then we can also, as the love awakens more and more, become rag anuga, the one who follow the path of attachment. And as our attachment will grow, then it will take us really there to Prayojan, Vrindavan, and to the lotus feet of Krishna and the gopis and their pastimes and all the other residents, Nanda and Yasoda and so on in Vrindavan. And then that becomes then our heart is deposited there. Then we are ready to come to make that Prayojan stage our focus. So the love is the key that will take us from Sambandha through Abhideya to Prayojan. It's said that one becomes Prema Rurukshu, one who is approaching Krishna Prem. So one who is eligible for Prayojan becomes Prema Rurukshu. He begins to approach Krishna Prem. He's not yet having it, but he's approaching it. And then by following in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan, hearing about their pastimes and so on, that love can be further awakened.
Wonderful.
Beautiful things. I mean, how the heart is involved, in Krishna consciousness. It's not just a dry activity. And I think, we saw that also, right? I mean, I'm not sure if you're all family members, but I'll just call him your father. We saw that it was not just a mechanical thing at all. He had a taste, right? Oh, undoubtedly, I mean, he couldn't stop sometimes. You know what I'm saying? He just could go on and on because he had a taste. He really had a taste. So that means some of that love was awakened. How much, that I cannot say, but that love was being awakened. There was some love, that's for sure.
That's very true. My father had lost interest in almost everything. He was very fond of eating sweet. He wouldn't care about sweet. He wouldn't. We have to force him all the time eating, and then we had to fight with him. Then he would speak very little to my mom. My mom and they were always together, chanting, reading. But then he somehow has realized that I have to leave and she has to be behind. So he showed complete indifference to her also. He would hardly talk to her, and he I mean detached himself from all the family members, including my youngest brother, whom he was so attached, Harinamananda, and his brother also he was so attached. But then lately he wasn't attached to anything. He with my connection, like we will read together every day, and my most family will join with us. So he was always asking me, what should we read, when should we read. I mean, that was his meditation. So
Right.
like I mean yeah, we can say that he definitely had a taste for devotional service, and
Right.
he lost the interest from the
Yeah.
worldly.
Yeah. You know, and you often see that it is almost as if the people on a more subtle level know it, that they are going to leave this world soon. You know,
Yeah, he was.
and then,
Go ahead, Raj. Sorry.
huh? It's like almost like he knew it, and how he was already sort of saying goodbye to the world, and just really intensifying his absorption.
Said me also.
Yeah, so he actually, when he went to the hospital, he asked forgiveness to my mom. He kind of, I mean, I mean, husband never do that to the wife. So that's a very kind of, I mean, something very significant. I mean, if the husband is asking for forgiveness and I'm doing, he didn't say anything, but like he paid like obeisances to my mom. And so, I mean, all this, he told a couple of people that before 6 months or 9 months, he exactly predicted how he's living. He says, nobody's with me. And I was so kind of, I mean, we were so attached to each other. So, I mean, so he would say, even my Ashik, he'll call me my legal name, material name. He's also not with me. I'm having a heart attack and I'm dying. He told one of my cousin that you come, I'm not here for a long time, come to see me. And after that, actually, she never met him because she thought that uncle is joking. I mean, as always,
Just to
so,
call.
Yeah.
I mean, just to get her, she thought that he is joking. But then, like, it turned out to be the exactly same way. Nobody was with him, and he left the body. Yeah. So he was very, he had that clear reason that he's about to leave.
That morning he dressed up. He wanted to do that RP.
And on that morning, he's actually the main, I mean, he was the main pujari for Radha Vasan Bihari. So all this year he did the Mangala Aarti. So, and that morning he actually dressed up with the new clothes. He had the new clothes and he wanted to do the Aarti. But somehow my wife blew the conch. Then he said like a child, because you blow the conch, then now you do the Aarti. So then so he kind of hand over the service to her, that okay, but like he was so much. I mean, he knew all those things, and I did not take any picture because I thought if I take the picture, that means he's gonna leave soon. So I said no, I'm not. I mean, he's here for another 10, 20 years. I'm gonna read with him. So I mean, my heart told me to take the pictures, but I didn't take anything. I said no. So I mean, yeah, all these memories for, I mean, there were very clear signals that he knew, and he was actually ready to depart.
You want to tell piano no for this.
It's like, Maharaj, I'm sorry, it's like, when you live with somebody, you take it for granted, Maharaj, like, same thing when you guys, like when exotal Vaishnava, like say when you come here, but it's like I was living with him, but I didn't realize, so I was, I'm his doctor too. And then that was like, so I was thinking that he's not eating. He would drink only like something with the sugar, so my family members were thinking I'm harming him, giving him sugar water. But like, every time he would call me Munna. So like, I'm not initiated. So usually he calls me, so he would call me Munna. So every time he would shout, Munna, I want a sugar water. So then I will give it to him and then say, what kind of doctor you are, that you are giving your father sugar water? He'll cough and he'll aspirate. I said, but he's asking for it, so I will give it to him. And then same thing, I learned from my Puchandra that when father departs, we will chant Narsi prayer and we'll like, so at that time, me and both him were bewildered, the cardiac death decision was that because, 2 hours ago, he was fine. So we thought he's not living this time. So we sent him for cardiac death. And then I told cardiac surgeon that, chant mantra. So he didn't, Pushti Marge Vaishnavas, he was chanting Om Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. He said I was chanting 90% of time. And then I got a proof that, like my father was chanting. After that, immediately Vishwarup Prabhu, the person who asked you the question, he's a very exhausted devotee, his family was the responsible. You know him probably, right? His family was responsible for my father to come in Krishna consciousness. His father, so basically he told me that, look at the Prabhu, look at the day, all the Vaishnavas are telling me that, he passed on the appearance of the Radha Kunde. It was Hanuman Jayanti, he read Sundarkand and all these things. So it's very hard for a being material doctor, like, we just talk about Sambad, Davide and the Prayojan. So for us, but all these Vaishnavas, they are really solacing, Maharaj. We are seeing the, like, as much as time I hear the story, because me and my Puchandra was there. So as much time I hear, I have a new realization. I have.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yeah. No, thank you all for inviting me to spend some time with you. I'm glad that I can do so. Because over the last period, I came from time to time to the house, and I had a recent connection, with him, and I very much observed his eagerness in Krishna consciousness. So I think that that cannot go in vain. That doesn't go in vain, undoubtedly. I don't have the power to see him now, in his eternal position. I cannot say, but I can understand by the result of all he has done that, surely Krishna has bestowed his mercy upon him. I have no doubt about it. No doubt. Yeah. All right. I thank you. I have to also go on, and other duties are calling me. Here the day is already, the sun is set, it is dark outside. And
In Europe?
no, I'm in South Africa, in Durban. Yeah. I was supposed to be here for Ratha Yatra and all these things which we have every year, and all that's cancelled now, of course.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yes.
they're thinking that this will end by June. I mean, some Singapore university has done some data analysis and kind of has made some prediction. So in the most part of the world, this will be finished by 97 to 100% by middle of May or early June. That is what they are predicting.
Okay, well, I'll tell you something. Sometimes, not too often, sometimes I do some astrology, right? So in the beginning of this pandemic, I did the astrology, and the astrology said that the months of May and June, the disease will go down and disappear, but there will be a second wave later in the year. That's what it said. Yes, there will be a second wave, which will be intense from September to December.
September to December.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was another astrologer also. He's from South India, a big name. So he also said that November will be the toughest month. That was his prediction. So
Yeah. 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 So it looks like okay. Like we get indeed. It's in June. May June we'll get a bit of relief from the whole situation. Well, that will be good. We need it. it's problematic.
hopefully we'll
You
see. Maharaj.
you have all been very ill with that virus, or it wasn't so bad? Or I mean, now you are fully recovered.
Yeah, we are fully recovered now. When the virus hit us, we were all down, like practically sleeping all day and kind of. But fortunately, we didn't get that sick. I mean, the
Yeah.
most serious complication goes to the lungs, where people have a
Right.
difficulty
The
in breathing,
pneumonia.
pneumonia, difficulty in breathing. So that didn't happen. I mean,
Good.
and we were pretty much 2-3 weeks. We were in house and I mean just resting. So we whole family was sick. Somehow he was spared. I mean, so
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
miracle.
That's amazing. That's a miracle because he was the main.
Yeah,
The main target in a sense, right? As an elderly person.
elderly
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
So another devotee Maharaj, he left, you know that, right? Another devotee
What?
from our family, my brother's father-in-law, the
Yeah.
cricket guy's father, he left the body because of the corona.
Oh no, I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Yes.
So that was
Yes. I mean, anyway,
elderly.
what can we do? But I'm glad that all of you at least recovered and are doing well. And that it wasn't so bad. And
Please, Maharaj, pray for both of them. His name was Ghanshyam Prabhu. My
Ghanshyam.
bhabhi, my sister-in-law's father, who lived with us, and he was also chanting 16 rounds and doing
Oh,
a lot of services, devotional services. He lived with us.
yeah.
Must have
All
seen
right.
him around, very quiet, minding his own
Yeah.
business.
If I see a picture, I would know. Yeah.
Yes, right behind.
Now I don't see you. I see only myself. You have to do something with the screen so that I can see you.
Remove the spotlight. He was in restaurant also.
Oh, okay. Yes,
Restaurant
yes,
also.
yes. I'm seeing him.
Please pray for
Hare-
both of them, Maharaj.
Father is sitting in the back also.
Hare
And
Krishna.
you can see my father's photo also. He's sitting in the back.
Yes, yes, I see. Very good.
Thank you.
Hare. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, it is very nice, and may all go well for all of you and with the family. And I thank you very much for inviting me in this way into your home. And I'm glad I could spend a little time with you. I hope that soon I will be able to come in physical presence also.
Yes.
That will be very nice. Right now I'm stuck. There are no flights in and out of South Africa. Total lockdown. I cannot move,
Maybe in
which
July.
is good for me, for health, for a change, all this flying.
Yes.
But at the same time, I hope that after a little break, soon it will open up. May, June would be good. Then I can come. And if I come to America, May, June, I'll certainly come to see you.
Please, Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Lord Shri Prabhupada, glories to you, Maharaj.
Hare Prabhupada Ki Jai.